I've got some at the bottom of that.
All done. It's done. Okay. Done.
Got it?
Back in the corner over here in the left-hand corner, there's some homemade pastries, epoxy and other things that friends and family have made. And please continue to come up and eat more food. And shortly we're going to transition into a time of celebration of life. For Helen, we have some family members that are going to speak. And if you are led, after those that have already chosen to say they do want to speak, that the microphone is open to all, and my husband will guide us. But just continue to enjoy and fellowship. And again, please get some dessert. Thank you.
And I'm quiet. Most of you I know. I met you before. Some of you I've known for 30 years. My name is Ron, if I haven't met you before. And I'm Helen and Jean's favorite son-in-law.
Ah.
What we're going to do, we're going to say a few words, and I'll turn it over to my oldest daughter who's here, and so forth. I got to go back up. This is called marriage. It's difficult to describe this time of day, at this time in our lives. To be young again would be great, as he runs in circles. But it's a glorious sad time. That's the best way I can put it. It's glorious, yet sad. It's sad only because we're so used to seeing our loved ones, picking up the phone and calling them, and we can't do that anymore. But it's not bad. Think about that. It's not bad. It's glorious because what we have, memories. And you have to keep those memories alive. And you have to take those memories and pass them on to your children, your children's children, and their children. That is how you keep our loved ones alive. I remember the first time I met Jean and Helen. It was awkward. It went very well. I got to know them quite well. And then when we decided to get married, it was, see if I can remember the date on this, November, near Thanksgiving, 1994. I met up with Liz on the interstate. I lived in Indiana. She lived in Wisconsin. We were going to drive there together, sit down and chat with them. And we were going to do what people used to do and still do, thank you, just ask for her hand in marriage. I wasn't worried about it. There's a slight difference in our age, roughly 18 and a half years. I had a little bit of baggage, was married before, 3 daughters. I wasn't worried about it. I should have been. I learned that Mom, Helen, loves to talk. It's a good thing because I love to listen. And it's hard to get a word in edgewise. But in this case, when we sat down, she didn't say anything. She just sat there and stared. I started to become uncomfortable. And she asked questions, normal questions, then didn't say any more. And I was trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to close this deal. Then she decided to ask me a question. Do you want to have more kids? Yes! That's all I said. And from that moment on, I was golden. I could not do anything wrong. Nothing. She would always tell Liz when we left, be nice to Ron. She listened most of the time. I wouldn't change it. But it's up to us to keep her memory alive. You have to continue to tell stories about what she did and how much you love her, because she's not gone, because she lives in your hearts. The beauty of that is she lives forever. So pass on every story you can think of that made you laugh. I heard once she set the grass on fire next door. I don't know how she did that. Heard a story where she goes shopping. She would be there for a long time, probably talking to people. And then what she would do, she'd come out, bags in hand, get in the car, start talking, rambling on and on and on, until she realized she was in someone else's car. So please do that. She's not gone. She lives in your heart. You've got to continue to pass that on. That's your responsibility. Little Asher's going to hear all these stories. And he'll pass it on to his children. So please do that. And keep praying for this wonderful family. Thank you so much. Rhonda's going to come up. And I was instructed she's going to sit down.
Good set. This is like my nightmare right now. So he's sitting so I don't pass out. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Cassandra. I'm the favorite granddaughter. I'm the oldest granddaughter. It's hard for me to summarize the memories I have with my Yaya in a brief speech. And I'm afraid my words won't fully convey what she meant to me, so here's my attempt. My Yaya was infectious, loving, and truly had a heart for the Lord. Her kindness touched everyone she met, and her unwavering faith was an inspiration to us all. She had a way of making everyone feel special and loved, and her legacy of compassion and warmth will live on in our hearts forever. My Yaya was also resilient. She had more resurrections than a cat with 9 lives. Growing up, I always thought everyone had a Yaya. It wasn't until I got older and realized that most people just had regular grandmas that I understood how special she was. I knew I had hit the jackpot. My Yaya brought so much warmth, love, food, and unique traditions into my life. She made every moment with her feel magical, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the wonderful memories we shared. There's not much my Yaya could do wrong in my eyes, well, besides vote for Joe Biden. Even then, she's lovable, so I couldn't hold it against her. Even though my mom was adopted, I was convinced I was Greek. Ancestry DNA proved me wrong. However, love and family go far deeper than just blood. My Yaya often expressed how she missed her siblings, parents, and friends that had gone before her, but especially her mother. She would always tell stories of her mother and how everyone loved her and how she was the nicest lady, but little did she know that when she was describing her mother, she was describing how I view her. Sorry. My Yaya prepared me for this day for a long time by telling me she would always be in my heart. And she was right. As hard as it is for my earthly understanding, I know she's at peace with Jesus. A verse that has helped me through a lot of heartbreak in my life, and especially now, is Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Though this is the end here on earth, this is not the end for her. My Yaya is Greek dancing with Jesus in heaven. In Revelation 21:4 it reads, "And he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death. There will no longer be any mourning or crying or pain." Thank you all for coming and celebrating her memory and her homecoming into eternal life. And her is the second favorite grandchild. what can I say? They saved the best for last. You know, I talk in front of thousands of people every day, but it's very different for this and for family, so bear with me here. My style's a little bit different. I would give anything for just one more day, for one more second with you, but you showed me how to trust in unconditional love, because the one profound thing about death is that love never dies. So bounds cannot be broken. Even though you're not physically here, your heart lives on within me. I'll carry your heart inside mine. I will carry it on days when I discover something new. I will carry it on days when beauty unfolds in the most unexpected places. I will carry it on days when I find courage to heal and to grow. I will carry it with me always. Someday we will meet again and will no longer be separated by time and space. Until that day, I'll find comfort in knowing that you are still with me. Sorry. Your heart tucked safely inside mine. Some hearts simply belong together and nothing will ever change that. To honor you, I will get up every day, take a breath, and start another day without you in it. To honor you, I will laugh and love with those who knew your smile. To honor you, I will take time and appreciate everyone I love, and I know that there is no promise of days or hours spent in their presence. To honor you, I will take chances, say how I feel without holding anything back, and I will dance every dance. So every day, I vow to make a difference, to share a smile and love. Now I live for the both of us, so all I do to honor you. If I could have you back for just a minute, we'd sit and talk like we used to. You would tell me I was too skinny and follow it up by making me grilled cheese. You always meant so much to me, and you always will. So on those days when you miss someone the most, remember how they loved you. Remember how they loved you, and do that for yourself. Love yourself as they love you. Yeah, I loved you then. I love you now. I always did, and I always will. Forever in my heart, I will carry you.
My name is, can you hear me back there? A little loud.
We know you can do it.
My name is Elaine Demas Haley. And that is my aunt, and it's truly been a blessing from God in my life. And as Ron was talking about memories, and Alyssa was sharing her heartfelt memories, and Cassandra, the words that she shared this afternoon, it just reminded me in many ways of the ways that Aunt Helen has touched our lives. What I share are how she touched my life. And give you an example. Most of you may know all of these things, and some of you may know none of these things. But she was probably one of the most influential, if not the most influential person in my life, and will be very sorely missed. But I know that this is only a temporary separation. In James 2, we read, there's two passages I wanted to share. Yes, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. And the other, faith without works is dead. I really don't recall a time when Aunt Helen wasn't there for me. One of my earliest memories is when she was employed as a secretary at Ambridge High School. I would come, Mom would take me by, I don't know why, but Mom would take me by and Aunt Helen would sit me up on a ledge, hand me a stack of colored paper, which I'm hooked on to this day, and just let me entertain myself while she finished up for her day. She always helped me and my mom at my birthday parties. I don't remember a birthday party while I lived at home that my Aunt Helen wasn't part of. One year, I received a record player as my main gift, and Aunt Helen showed up and brought a bunch of records. And she spent the entire party teaching all the girls at my party how to do the cha-cha. They just thought I had the coolest aunt ever. Growing up, she was the aunt that bought me my Christmas dress every single year without fail. And I always loved what she bought me. In times of stress, Aunt Helen was the person that always was my rock and helped me get through it and provided a voice of wisdom. On an interesting note, my dad actually was the one who taught Aunt Helen how to drive. And she ordered and picked out her brand new car before she'd even really finished her lessons. She had asked me to go with her the day after she passed her driver's test with a brand new Fairlane 500. And we drove to Etna so she could visit her cousin Harriet. Evidently, she's not as directionally challenged as I am. We got there without a problem, had a wonderful time. On the way back, a tornado hit. And almost every road that we passed had nothing but huge branches and limbs, and I was trying to help her navigate the road, and sometimes there were power outages. It's a miracle we got back to Ambridge in one piece. When Aunt Helen and Uncle Gene got married, I was in high school and was really thrilled to be invited to be the bridesmaid in her wedding, or one of the bridesmaids. She was probably one of the most beautiful brides that we had. Before the newlyweds went on their honeymoon, Aunt Helen, for some reason, gave me her pearl ring that she had been wearing for several years. And she told me that I could wear it until she returned from her honeymoon. Well, I was pretty excited. I put it on and wore it. The next morning I woke up and my finger was so swollen. Oil didn't take it off, butter didn't take it off, nothing would work, so we went to Papa's shoe shop. And Papa proceeded to cut the ring off and throw it in the big barrel that he kept there in the shoe shop and just threw it away. I had no clue what that ring cost or how valuable it was in a financial sense. She wasn't angry. She was just as sweet and loving as could be and just took it in stride. And it wasn't until many years later I realized how valuable that ring had been and how much grace it took on her part to just accept that. When I started nursing school in Oakland, and Helen was the only one who faithfully wrote me every single week, and I returned her letters as well. Whenever I was married, moved to Hawaii, it was she who faithfully either called or wrote. Again, every single week we were in touch. She was a sounding board that I could trust. We continued those calls until her recent illness. Many of us say that we want to be at home when we grow up. Who else manages to send out birthday and anniversary cards on time, for every occasion? That went on until recent years, and I still usually got the card, but it might have said, "To my dear uncle." So, and Helen was the glue that held our Manus family together. For years, even in her 80s, she was making family meals for holidays and picnics during the summer. Many remember going up to the pool, one of her favorite places to swim, and coming home for volleyball and a picnic. When relatives visited, they often stayed with her and Uncle Gene, and there was always a great big dinner and dessert, and the whole big family, Greek family gathered to celebrate and visit with whoever was in from out of town. And Helen loved her God, her church, and her family, and it was evident in how she lived her life. She had an abiding faith and is one of the few people I know who would apologize to restore harmony rather than have strife, even if it wasn't her fault. Her church and church family were important to her. For years, she served in the Greek Orthodox Church choir and made every single effort to attend weekend choir conventions. And Helen was a faithful daughter. She stopped at the Manus house regularly after work to visit her parents and was pretty much there daily to help when her father had a very bad stroke. She never neglected her widowed mother, routinely stopping to help her around the house, take her for appointments, or run errands. When friends or family were ill, she always managed to provide meals. There wasn't a child, and I dare say person in our family, that did not know that Aunt Helen loved them. She showed them that same love and kindness to everyone she met. Anyone who met Aunt Helen instantly believed that they had a new fellow friend. She carried on Greek traditions, like baking kouloudai at Christmas and sweetbread for New Year's. Sometimes she'd take me with her when she visited Cousin Harriet, and for the weekend, and they'd go to a Greek dance or picnic. She loved her Greek music and her Greek dancing and the traditions. Even at 86, she looked forward to attending Greek dances, hoping she could manage to dance at least one more dance. And usually she did. She always looked fabulous, loved her bling, and Helen knew how to dress, and she always seemed all put together. She never let herself go like so many women do as they get older. And Helen was devoted to her husband, being a faithful and loving wife for 60 years. She was Uncle Gene's helpmeet in the fullest sense of the word. What a blessing it's been in my life to see two people who, after 60 years of marriage, still had a strong affection for one another and complement each other so well. It's something I've always aspired to have. Aunt Helen always said that her nieces all loved Uncle Gene, and if anything ever happened to her, we would be fighting over him. We all have funny Aunt Helen stories, and I'm going to skip that one in case it comes up. In recent years, Bill and I would try to visit in Pennsylvania. With 4 children and many relatives in the area, it was a logistical nightmare to try to fit everybody in for visits. And Helen and Uncle Gene were always amazing, cooperative in helping us accomplish that end. It didn't matter if they met us for breakfast at 6 in the morning, or we were invited there to watch a Steeler game that was 10 or 11 o'clock at night. We were always welcome in that house. How many people you know that would go to such lengths to visit with you? How can we forget her ringing a cowbell out at her front porch with every touchdown that the Steelers made? When I wrote a family history book many years ago, I would often interview the people I was writing about. And I asked Aunt Helen, of all the things that you want to share with future generations, what would you want them to know? And she said, I want them to know that I most enjoyed the time I spent with all of my family, and that I, quote, adored my grandchildren, end quote. And Helen was a shining example of a faithful servant. She gave of her time and talents to many, and she was always a safe haven for me, and probably others. I was truly blessed having her in my life, as were many others. Yes, we need more Aunt Helens in the world. Thank you. At least I held it together, so we're good, because we're just celebrating.
Uncle Gene, Liz, Michael, Cassandra, Alyssa, and Tyler, and little Asher. So sorry you have to go through this day, but we all loved Aunt Helen. Every single one that was here, that was at the funeral home. And Aunt Helen was such a kind-hearted person. She didn't have a mean bone in her body. She might have got mad at all of us for some reason. You know, she got mad at me, but I know she loved all of us. She always welcomed people, even at church. People that I knew would meet her and say, "Your Aunt Helen's such a sweet lady," you know. She just always made people feel welcome. She had a lot of funny things she did. My dear Virginia, my dad, and her were brother and sister. And we would laugh at a lot of things they do. And I remember some of mine would be funny. They were Atlantic City, and they were at a hotel, and dear Virginia and her were trying to find their key. They had their key, and they said to this guy in the hallway, "You know, we can't find our room. Our key doesn't work. It doesn't work." And the guy looked at it and said, "Ladies, you're in the wrong hotel." So then one time, I think Elaine said it, or someone said it, that Aunt Helen got in his car. She started talking to this guy. She got in the back seat, and she's telling him all this stuff. And Aunt Helen told him the story. And this guy goes, "Lady, I'm sorry, but I think you're in the wrong car." You know. And then one thing she liked to do, she loved to go to the casino. And she'd call and she'd go, "Mary Ann, can we go to the casino?" You know. And I said, "All right." But she loved going there. And she won a couple times. And then, two, she liked the Steelers. She loved the Steelers, like some of us in here. Not everybody's a Steeler fan. But she'd call, and our tradition was after a Steeler game, if they won, I'd call her, she'd call me. And one time, I called her, I said, "Oh, Aunt Helen, I can't believe they won." She goes, "What do you mean they won?" I said, "They won. They have a delay that out here, the game's over where I'm at," but she would watch it, and we would, so I'll still, I don't know, dial a number or something so I could tell her the Steelers won. But she said last year we didn't get to talk much because they didn't do too well. But yeah, we'll hope, maybe they'll do better. But I am going to go to the casino. Bob doesn't listen to this next week. And I'm going to play one of the machines for Aunt Helen. You know, I had another friend that she liked casinos too, so, and the slots, so I'm going to play for Aunt Helen. Yeah, and then if I win some of it, I'll donate it charity to her. But like I said, Aunt Helen, she loved everybody. She loved her family. As Elaine said, she just loved being with family. And I think we all miss somebody when they go, but I think it's after they pass, it's what we do with our life that's important, that you still see each other, that you still see each other and you do things in their honor, and it makes you feel good knowing that, you know, someday when we die, we want people to do that and still go on with your life and do things. So I think, so one thing I will do for her is do the terrible time.
I have to say that we love our mother very much. We're very happy that she adopted both of us. Her and my dad gave us a great life. We appreciate the love, the support, the prayers that you all extended to us. It was so great to hear some stories I didn't know about my mother, about our mother. We heard the same sentiment woven throughout many conversations, and how she was a friend to people that maybe felt like they were on the outside of things. And that just was one of her greatest gifts. She loved and valued her friendships and her family. And this was a great honor and tribute to her. I'm thankful for faith that allows both peace and comfort, because I've had conversations with her and she believed upon Jesus. She knew where she was going, and yet we stand here as her two children, and I'll speak on behalf of my father, our father, as also brokenhearted for this time in this side of eternity. We will not be able to physically touch or talk with her. But as many of you said, she will live in our hearts. And we would just like to thank you all for coming and celebrating her life. We'd like to thank the Lord for his mercy in taking her home before she got to a place where it was not good for her here on this side of eternity. And as our oldest said, Psalm 34 says that the Lord does draw near to the brokenhearted. And that brings us a lot of comfort and peace. So God bless all of you. Love your family. Forgive quickly, like Aunt Helen did. Be kind to one another. Thank you.
So approximately a year and a half ago, I figured we would be in this situation way back then. And Mama decided at that point in December that she had enough. Well, we couldn't figure out why. We knew she was hurting. We knew that she hated getting tests, she hated getting prodded with needles, and she wanted it to be over. Well, we honored that, but we couldn't quite understand why. We spoke to the doctors spoke to her, we put every ounce of faith in the doctors and my mom's own abilities to bounce back. Well, she decided that she wanted to stick it out. So now we are here a year and a half later. Because Mom was a fighter. She wasn't fighting for herself, no. She was fighting for everyone here. She wasn't going to disappoint you guys. I made a lot of I made a lot of stupid decisions in my life and made a lot of mistakes. And how many times do you have to make mistakes before your mother says, I'm done? Well, that never happened. She stuck with me through everything. The only time I was worried, and most people know this, I got a DUI back in '95, I don't hide it. I called her up, I said, Mom, I got a DUI. I don't remember the time frame that it took for her to hang up, but it wasn't long. It wasn't long at all. So my dad called me back. We're talking a little bit, and then Mom gets on the phone, and she had already gotten over it. She was still angry, as she should be. But we worked through it together, you know? She didn't hold it against me. And just over the course of the past year and a half, seeing the condition that she was in, and she still managed to create relationships with the people that she met, you know, all the way up to the end, you know? I don't know too many people that have that ability. I certainly don't, you know? But that was something that Mom did, you know? She had the ability to make people smile, make people happy, and it didn't matter where she was. So, I gotta give her credit for living a life of enjoyment and just true happiness and love for you guys and us. You know, she lived because of us, not for herself. You know, my father was her life, and she adored him. And they would be seen holding hands and just naturally being in love. And Mom, she just cherished that emotion all the time, even to the end, even to the very end. There was a picture that I took a year and a half ago with my mom.
You got it.
Okay, so I stayed with my mom that night, and she was fidgeting, she was agitated. I figured that would be the last time I really got to spend time with her. So her hands were moving, and I reached up and I put my hand up on the bed with her. And she put her hand on mine, and she locked on. You know, unconscious, she's on painkillers. She latched onto me and she wouldn't let go. So I took my camera, snapped a picture, and I sent it to my cousins. And that became kind of like my guiding way to know that I will always have her, and she'll always have me. I could tell you a million things about her, but I don't think we have that much time in a day, or a week, or, you know. But that's my mom, and I'm gonna miss her very much. But she would want us to move forward. And just like everybody else said, love the people that are around you, just like she did. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being with us through everything for the past year and a half, almost 2 years. You know, family was crucial to her and her friends, and we're gonna miss her. We're definitely gonna miss her. So, thank you.